talk close to the mic so people can hear you.
Fist away from the face. Can I put my gum underneath the table like we did?
Absolutely not.
Oh, I thought you were going to end with absolutely. I was like, perfect. I'll get it afterwards.
Ooh! If I find Nate's gum underneath this table,
Hey, I'm on there.
I'm gonna be so pissed. All right, you know the drill. Fist away from the mic, Grant. You got that?
Check.
Yes, sir. Welcome back, guys, to episode 23 of the Kinda Nice podcast. Today we got these 6 foot and above clubs, so we had to boot Daniel out. So I brought in Grant McCartney. McCartney, my bad. Grant McCartney.
What up, everybody? Grant McCartney in the house.
Yeah, boy.
And young Nathan Burkhalter. Say what's up, guys. Introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm friends with Grant McCartney. My name's Nate Burkhalter. Hopefully you remember me from being on here in the past. Good to see y'all again. Good to talk to y'all. Good to see y'all for the first time. Good to talk to y'all again.
Yeah. They both have been on here before, so you guys should know who they are.
Yeah. Shout out you guys. This Kinda Nice podcast is kind of nice with it, man. Y'all are kind of nice with what you're set up in here. It looks like now. I didn't do all the visuals last time. I mean, I'm liking the colorway and everything. Oh, by the way, I'm Grant McCartney. You can call me McCarty though.
It's kind of sick. I think if you were McCarty, it would kind of.
It's got a nice ring to it.
Here's the deal. I'm not gonna change my last name because it sounds cool. How about that?
That's fair enough.
Sweating, dude. What is? I gotta cool off.
That's good.
I'm already.
Should we put
sweating.
the fan on him?
Yeah. No, we're good. We'll make it happen, bro.
We put the reps in this morning, so Grant put in
Definitely did
double
put in the
time.
reps.
Yeah, man. I'm not gonna lie, man. I've been
Sweating.
putting too many reps in lately.
Yeah. You want to talk about that a little bit? Tell us what you've been
Yeah.
trying to do. Your
Grant
goals
was
with
walking
your-
around like a zombie this morning. Kind of old man, the hurting.
I mean, it's always a big. Yeah, I make a lot of noise. It's always a
creaky.
study, right? I want to know what my limits are, and I want to know what happens when you go past them. I want to know what physically I can do that I don't know I can do, and the challenge right now. So my rundown's like train for Ninja Warrior from like November to March, and then after that you get to just do whatever, and whether it's some internet challenge or in 1 year. Usually I give a month of dedicated workout to try to achieve the goal. And this year is trying to run a sub 5 minute mile and deadlift 500 pounds, but it all has to be done within under 5 minutes. So you put the 500 pounds on the track, deadlift it, drop it, take off running, and that all has to be done in under 5 minutes. I've never deadlifted 500 pounds, so that's already a rough start. And then I've only ran a 4:58 one time as an all out sprint on my fastest mile. So I'm gonna have to drop mile time and gain 50 pounds all in a month on my deadlift. So we'll see. I mean, right now I'm in the 4th week of training and the hurt is real. My legs hurt, my back and my shoulders. It just feels like I've used up all of my good juices, man. And it just feels like I'm out of gas.
Sounds like you got a mucho take it easy maybe for a little bit.
I think so. We knew this week was going to be a hard week, and it's okay to be tired, right? It's also important, yes, to rest. And I think I'm at that period where I need to rest. I need to give a little
Yeah,
rest.
that's fair.
I'm hurting, bro.
Yeah, I would join you with that, but I don't think I've deadlifted like over 400 ever in my life. So
Have
I'm
you
good.
deadlifted 400?
I've been like 3 something, but not 400.
Bro, you don't just walk up and do that. That takes some serious training.
No,
Yeah,
I mean, I
that's
think
impressive.
like low 300s, probably like 315. I was talking to Grant yesterday, so I loaded like both sides with like 345s on each head. And I think I tried to do more than that, and that's when I was like, I might break some if I go a little more than this.
Bro, I'm telling you.
That's impressive just to walk up and throw that.
That's tough. So that's your fitness goals right now. What are your fitness goals right now, Nate?
Let me start by saying I failed at all of my fitness goals in the past 3 months. So we just lay that out there.
All right. So what did you
Not
fail
everyone
at?
hits it, but I had a few things set. Like I wanted to regain some functionality that I had. So Grant
Yeah.
talked about the off season. Like we all go through that on season, off season. So I was like, cool, we're done with Ninja for a while. I want to get big. So
Yeah.
I wanted to get roll a little bit because Ninja.
You're already pretty big, bro. You're not a small dude.
I'm in the big boy club for ninjas.
Yeah.
And I was sitting at like 190, 6 foot. So that's a good size.
Yeah.
But I wanted to grow. I wanted to cross like 200 pounds. I wanted to get faster.
Wanted to get thick.
I'm like,
2 C's.
I want to look movie good.
Movie big,
You
like
know, because
Chris
there's
Hemsworth
athletic.
big?
I've learned there's athletic, strong, but then there's that movie look. When I look at Thor,
Yeah, you're like not functional, but you look real good.
Right, and you like we see these guys. They're not athletes per se.
Yeah, no,
Like,
at
you
all.
play around. You see some dude. I was in Dallas, Frisco last week at the Cowboys like training facility, and there's these 2 yoked looking dudes. I was like, these guys got to play for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
And so me and my buddy walked up and we're like, hey, you guys want to play around? Because they were like practicing with the football in the field. And we get in and play a little scrimmage with them. And they
You smoked them.
They might hear this. They were not that athletic, and it kind of shocked me. Like we smoked them. I was like, these dudes look like they should be on the Cowboys or in a movie. I'm saying all that to say I'm trying to get a little bit more aesthetic because I got on a movie a couple months back, and I'm looking to get more deals. Yeah. And if you can kind of have that aesthetic look that matches the athletics, it opens up new opportunities. And so I was working towards a few of those, regaining some functionality. And I've been on the road so much that I just haven't been able to make it a priority.
Yeah, you've been traveling a lot.
I thought I could. I'm optimistic in a lot of that. Grant knows I'll put a lot of things on my plate and then get kind of frustrated.
I know that too, man. I think most people who know you know that. That's the Nathan Burkhalter way. I'm gonna stack my plate. Like just to put it in perspective, this guy just drove in from Dallas yesterday. I'm like, hey, you gonna do this podcast? He's about to get on a flight to California. Like after this, he's just all over the place all the time. He's never like settled down.
Yeah, I sound like my girlfriend. That's literally some of the words she's used.
Maybe so. I'm
not throwing shade. I'm agreeing that there are some places I am training and working to slow down a bit, trying to find the balance. So I thrive on a lot of things going on. It keeps me excited and focused. If there's something in the future that I'm working towards, I get excited. When it's nothing, I kind of start winding down. So I have to keep a little bit of that around me. Yeah, but there's a balance, and you and others are a good grounding for me of like reminding that.
Yeah, come back to Houston, get grounded, then just jet for another month.
I mean, I don't know too. It's something that we should think and talk to people about though too, because sometimes it sounds like busyness is no good. And I think we have a problem in our society right now with busyness is a positive thing when I don't think it is. But when we don't have jobs like how you used to have a job, using your engineering degree, 9 to 5, you're overseas working or you're here working. It's very fundamental work. And then I had a degree in have a degree in marketing, and I was pitched jobs right out of college to go work for Kimberly-Clark or for Target or all these great maybe not for our personalities. And so then what we found ourselves is, kids just getting out of college and figuring out, well, what does your 9 to 5 look like? What does your work look like? Well, when you're not working at these big corporations, you have to make work for yourself. You have to figure your way. And while you're figuring it, it can be very busy because you're throwing a lot at the wall and seeing what sticks. Yeah. And that's okay in that period to start throwing. But once it starts sticking is when you stop throwing.
Yeah.
You go and you go, that work, I'm doing that. You don't keep throwing. You don't keep checking anymore.
You still throwing, Nate?
I think Grant's using a great analogy, and it's taken me a little while to figure out like what's going to hit, what's starting to work. So I have been getting into my lane, and I found a few other things. So I feel like I've stopped throwing, but that was what I set for my objective when I quit my job. If y'all remember from some of the past podcasts I've talked about, worked overseas, did the corporate life. That had one set of structure, which was good, and it had a financial piece to it, so I was covered. But I walked away from that, so it was like, man, I'm throwing a lot of things out there, trying to juggle a lot to figure out what do I want to do, what can I do well, what do I enjoy, and I've tested a lot of that, and that's what I gave myself a little bit of a runway for. So now I've discovered enough of it between speaking and events, and a lot of what Grant's done as he's been an entrepreneur for a while, and he's using his marketing degree, but he left being the flight attendant, which took a lot of his hours, and stepped into this. And so I've been chasing him a little bit. And then as an example, I've got enough things now that are starting to stick where I see the writing on the wall and like, yes, I can start slowing down a bit.
So it takes a while for things to stick too. There's nothing wrong. Like busyness is a big part of like figuring out what sticks. And then like some of the simple stuff, I realized if someone asked me to model for their company, I'll do it if they come to me and say, hey, we want to pay you this because it's good money and it's easy work, but I'm not trying to find an agent and I'm not trying to model. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like I just know that now. Now at first when I was like doing Ninja Warrior and getting asked to do more jobs and gigs, like I was like, I got to get into acting. I got to get into modeling. I got to get into all these things that are in the entertainment industry. And then I realized I'm not looking to model. I'm not necessarily even looking to act. Personally, those are two things I know. Again, if they offer the job, by all means, it's good money for what I consider to be easy work comparative to doing construction that I've done before where I'm working my butt off.
Show up and smile.
Shout out to actors. They have their own style of work. I'm not to say that it's laziness or anything like that. There's hard work there, but personally, those aren't things I'm tracking down. So I'm not throwing those at the wall anymore. Yeah. But I am learning to, especially this year, take my Instagram and get some monetization behind it so that I can, if I'm going to make my money there, then I can spend my time creating what I want or pursuing physical goals that can be on camera to encourage people, or, been doing more vlogging this year on my YouTube channel. People can go there and watch stuff, but that has to be funded somehow. It costs a lot of money to film and have a filmer and an editor. So doing all that, I can now go, well, I've been wearing these clothing brands for years. Now I just tell people I wear them. Before I was wearing them for the last 2 years. Now I'm like on contract with a lot of them, or supplements that I've been using for years. Now I can just tell people. And so those are the things that have stuck. And then I'm leaning in and going, all right, let's make something of these and not just have this little game. Let's make it a big game. And then I don't have to throw and see if acting and modeling are sticking. It's like, no, I'm not aiming for that, but I'm cool to do way more brand deals. It's like the new thing because that makes money. And then even when I do Ninja Warrior, I was like, man, I'm doing 7 years. Like, am I going to do Ninja Warrior for an 8th season? And sometimes you can get really like, I do so much and I don't get paid, and it's such an output to train that specifically. But if I get enough brand deals that I'm promoting businesses that I already love and it works out mutually beneficial for the both of us, then I'll do Ninja because I have the free time to, and I'm not worried about making money. But when I'm not making money to cover my bills, costs, and my future goals that I want to do, I'm not going to want to go on national television for free and spend months and months of my time training specifically and then fail and just hate yourself. Right? And it's like,
that was me this year.
That's a loop.
Yeah. I mean, that was me this year too. Yeah. Like this is my worst season I've ever had. And
me too, man.
Whenever I get the worst season,
6 foot and over club.
Yeah.
And
tough go.
Ours were like back to back. He went first. I went right after him. I was
no, you went first.
No, you went before me.
Did I?
Yeah. Because I remember, like, I felt bad, but I was zoned in.
Yeah, that's right.
And I was like, man, I feel really bad for Nate, but I'm next, so I got to block that out. And, like, afterwards, I was like, that sucked. But, like, in the moment, I saw him fall, and it didn't faze me. And then afterwards, it went through. But, yeah.
So, I mean, for you all, coming off of season like that, I mean, what we're seeing in the show Ninja Warrior right now is a lot of younger people coming up. I've even seen the shift, as you guys have, I'm sure, as well seen. Ninja Warrior used to be this storyline-based show with a little bit of athletics, and now it's become the athletics has moved up a bit on the scale. So now crazier, harder moves, and you can't have the same storylines of like, dad off the couch tries Ninja Warrior course, because if he's not training specifically for Ninja, there's no way he's going to do some of these obstacles because they're too technical.
Yeah. And for years to be training.
And these kids have been. And now they're coming out, they're killing it.
Literally the kid right here. I mean, we were talking about this on the way here. Like, dude, I knew this kid when he was
didn't exist.
He was like 11 years old, I think, when I met you. Just a random kid hanging out at Iron Sports. Yeah. Didn't stand out at that time just because there's a lot of people training. But then you start seeing him grow and develop and become one of the best. And then they lower the age requirement so that you get on at 19, right? Yeah. And then now it's 15. You just see the progression happening, and kids that were, I mean, man, this 15-year-old kid this year that had the best season. Yeah. That's insane. He's 15, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, I mean, they're like generation 2. You're like generation 1. Why you do
You're like
so
1.5.
well.
Like,
well, I mean, from
bridging the gap.
Our community here was like, you're known as kid. You grew up in the ninja gym. Daniel Gill, I guess he's part of that first crowd that grew up in the gym. Yeah. But your athletic skill comes a lot off of technique. You have the technique where you might not be training that exact strength every day, but when we run courses, it feels easy because you know the skill.
Yeah, I know how to move.
So that matches up with now another generation who have the strength, the technique, and have been in the game. Yeah. So with that happening, what do you guys think this year? Now, this year specifically, we saw a lot of ninjas go out early, veteran ninjas, and it was surprising. If you look at the numbers of the veteran ninjas who've been doing it for, let's call it 6 years plus, who went out in the first round or had their worst season ever, it very, very high numbers. Also having 2 seasons in a row where we're filming with COVID regulations and rules, which is also very different for all of the fans who don't know. We're used to having dinners with each other, going to each other's hotel rooms and catching up in life and having like that feeling. And now it's like,
and the audience on the sideline, our crew on the sidelines, the hype, the crowd,
family,
is also a pressure component that goes away for the rookies. Yeah. But keep going on that track. Yeah.
So, we have this big change. These are some of the factors. What would you all link is the reason, or is it just coincidence, or what are the reasons that cause more veterans to go down and these younger kids not to go down? Is it just skill? They're better? Is it that these things have changed, or what makes veterans
And the stuff
feel
that
different?
happened though is like, so what I'm thinking of immediately is like Barclay and Nate, right? Because they fell in the same spot, and I was just like unlucky. Like there's not much you could do about it.
It wasn't that,
you know what I mean?
Some 10-year younger kid was just better that day. That was just a weird fluke.
Yeah, it's
but it
just
happened to a lot of us
unlucky,
this
right?
year, didn't it?
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The numbers are the numbers, bro. And I went
lucky,
down.
bro.
Maybe
I went down on the
it's-
hop,
Yeah.
which I'm like, oh, I overshot it. I've been
Yeah.
training a lot of power. That makes sense. But then Nick, right behind me, same spot, went down.
So
Yeah.
I would start to agree with Kid, like it was just a fluke. But now I'm seeing what you're saying.
Yeah, with the
all of us had a
numbers,
weird
yeah.
fluke as a veteran. Something was different.
did we all fluke?
We all
I'm just saying.
Because normally
I
I
don't know.
go to my limit. Usually it's like I'm at
Yeah.
my limit. I think probably 5 out of 6 seasons it was like I got to my limit. It was like I'm failing. It's at that 7th, 8th obstacle. I can't quite hold on anymore, and I go down. This one was just rug out from under me, which is weird. But it seemed like all of us as veterans,
Yeah.
we didn't.
What are some other people, right? There's some other people that went out early that weren't.
I'm trying to think. Like all I know is like my region. Because I didn't.
Did Warnke go out early? Does anybody
so.
remember?
Maybe.
What about I mean, there's a lot of people that went out early.
Yeah,
A lot.
I've tried to space this out.
even
push
like
this all out
Daniel
of my
fell in
head.
qualifiers, right?
Yeah,
Like,
first time
yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
I
I'm
remember
just
that
saying,
happening, and
let's
I was
just
coming-
look in a
yeah.
little bit into the conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
It's not even conspiracy. Let's just look at the fact that,
He's bringing up
There's a
conspiracy
dude
theories.
on the sideline with like a gun of like WD-40 just shooting the holes.
Right.
Like,
yeah, I don't think it's anything working against us. I think it's simple logic. And for me, I had to run these numbers, and it's like, okay, I've been doing this for years. I've been feeling like I've been putting out a work effort that maybe didn't bring the financial return that I wanted. And then I feel maybe resentful or something. And then
I mean, like your heart's not in it type thing?
I
that's
think
what I'm saying. I'm
that's
getting
the
to
key.
all those things
Yeah.
have
That's the-
compiled to then take my heart away.
Yeah.
And then that's why I'm going, well, if I can get the financial deals through brand deals and support from everyone online to do what I do, then I can go back on these shows and it'll be only my heart.
Yeah, it's just
Because
for
it's not
fun,
for money.
yeah.
It's not for fame. It's not for anything.
That's the tough part with Ninja is like and even like imagine because we're like at the upper like echelon of this stuff of like we get some fame out of this stuff, we can get brand deals, but imagine the guys that have like only like a few thousand followers that do the same thing, but it seems like they're even hungrier than we are. Like they're training
Yeah.
like way more.
Yeah.
But they can't make like money off of brand deals and
They can't break out right now.
That's what I'm saying. So
Even if they have the best season,
Yeah,
even if they top what we've ever done.
yeah, imagine
They're
like
not
you
gonna
had done
break out.
this, but you didn't have like the following and like the clout that you gained
Yeah.
from it.
I trip on that too. And I thought about this the other day because I'm never going to be the one that's like, I did everything and Ninja Warrior didn't. Like, I know, and me and Daniel talked about it the other day that it was pretty much one season. And then by the second season in Vegas, I'm signing autographs and sending birthday videos to kids.
Yeah.
Which it's pretty wild.
Yeah, for
one
sure.
season
Yeah, y'all
and
took
you're
off.
famous.
That was
Right?
you guys.
And that was not my,
Yeah.
I was not famous for anything before that.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's like, I'm getting recognized on the plane when I work. Then I'm getting recognized too much on the plane to where it's interrupting our services. Then I've got to like really go, wait, what am I doing? No, I got this job at the airlines and it's being interrupted. And so I'm not naive to the fact that happened. So what do I do with that? I'm thankful for that, and I've been able to spin it. But Nate, what do you feel like? Because you had a couple seasons where it wasn't that kind of quick kickoff. What was the transition like for you? And then what is the transition now like where you do Exacthlon and you win first season? Has it been that kind of fandom, but just in the Latin community? Or has it not and been a slow transition? Like, what has that been like?
Yeah, I think overall, that's a good tee up. Overall, just for those listening, like I think anyone can see these trends in your life where you're putting an effort and dedication to something that's doesn't seem like it's giving anything back, especially not visibly. Grant, you were just talking about using these brands you've had for years, and you're buying their product, and other people are doing that, and all of a sudden now you're in a place where, hey, they might pay you to do that. That's a rare situation. So when I was building into the ninja community, I mean, I spent a couple years walking on. It wasn't until my third season that I finally got accepted and then featured. And so I got a glimpse of that, but then I got taken out from an injury, so I didn't have a full breakout. But it wasn't until like year 6 that it really took off in that realm. And I could see the new people coming in. For me, even that 6th year, I had a breakout year, quote unquote, successful, but I didn't really make any waves social media wise. I didn't get much of a gain because it's so saturated already. The people who broke out were that when you did back in season 6 or 7 or 7, I think. So I was already behind the curve, but recognizing, hey, there's a lot of work I put in here that I think will give some fruit and effort. But in seasons past, when I was like training really hard to play football in college, nothing ever came from that. I got injured. I didn't even make the team. But I learned that there was a certain measure of discipline that applies. So like when you apply the philosophy and the discipline, it may not work out in this thing you're doing. And that's where we can get discouraged. But for remembering, for people listening, there's the next thing that will come that you never knew about. Yeah. That all of a sudden you are already operating at a high level and you can walk in and crush it. You, Grant, Kid, Daniel, you were already operating at a certain level and you walked in and you kicked it or you knocked it out of the park from the beginning. I stumbled a little bit out of the gate, but I kept the faith and eventually it broke out. So when I walked into Exatlon, dude, I didn't know about this show out of nowhere, but I'm now competing with high-level, multi-millionaire paid athletes, and I was able to run the show to some degree and knock it out of the park, not because I just got lucky, mostly because of that 8-year foundation of going at it for Ninja Warrior and not really seeing anything from it. I never hit the level of fame or success that you guys hit. It would be like I'm walking with y'all, and then someone's like, oh, I've seen you on there too. But no one really knew me from Ninja. So that's, I think, a foundational piece of whatever we do in life. It's always going to be a component of you're just grinding and you're working and you're not really seeing it. You feel it like, hey, I'm doing the stuff. Yeah. But you're not going to become known for it. You're not getting brand deals. Whatever, find your arena. I mean, I did that in engineering.
So I pulled up the stats for like the views on Ninja Warrior. What season did you come in, Grant?
7.
So you came in at the peak. You were like at the height. Well, and then you
I was 6. I walked on in 6.
Yeah. You came in at the back. Can you show that on the camera, Rod?
That's cool.
If you pan over to it. You gotta press the camera button.
Interesting. This is number of views.
Let's see if this works.
First off, a shout out to a couple things on the internet. This is amazing.
This is really cool.
Statista.com. But what you need to also check out is ninjaguide.com.
Ninja Guide.
Have you ever gone to Ninja Guide?
Yeah. It's impressive.
So just 2 days ago, and I'll probably put out a little article with American Ninja Warrior Nation about like 7 years of competing and the ups and downs of it all. But I went on Ninja Guide to remember like my runs and all this stuff. And I'm like, because I remember they have everything logged. If you go into here and go to, go to the top up there, right where it's got seasons, competition. Oh yeah, there you go. On TV, Ninja's on TV. Go to American Ninja Warrior and just click on that. Just click on American Ninja Warrior.
Let's skip season 13.
Boom,
how about
just
that?
like that.
Yeah.
And then
Just pick any season.
Yeah, pick any season, or you need to put in a person's name. Like, you can do mine if you want.
Can
or
you just search?
There's a search somewhere. So what I did to bypass this is I went in Google and typed in
like
Grant McCartney Ninja Guide. And so it'll pop up, you'll see my page, and it'll tell you every single obstacle I went out on all stages, not just like, okay, you made it through qualifier. It tells you the time, the recap of everything. For me, I wanted to know, people ask me, how many times have you been to Vegas?
Yeah.
I realized I never went out on stage 1. I made it to stage 2 every time I made it to Vegas.
You can watch the clip too. That's crazy.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Look at this.
Cool.
The time, hit the buzzer. You can see like the time I made the mega wall. You can see, every little detail, and it's all linked. And so I looked at this and I went, I've actually gone out before Vegas as equivalent amount of times as I've made it to Vegas. In my mind, like, I always make it to Vegas.
Yeah.
The reality is I did not. And so like really looking at my performance and going, when did I crush it? When did I not? Fortunate. And I'm fortunate too, because I have a lot of clips. They featured me many years.
Yeah,
so
sure.
you can find mine have a lot of watch clips where maybe not everybody's.
Yeah, I don't have as many.
This says though, attempted. One of the other reasons why I watched this is because if you see how many times I went on the salmon ladder or extension ladder or
scroll down.
You just see ladder.
So you see ladder of some kind.
Extension ladder.
Salmon ladder.
Salmon ladder.
Salmon ladder. There's another salmon ladder.
Ooh. Yeah,
so it's different kinds of salmon ladders. It reminded me like, hey, it's not like I just fell in the same thing every year. This is the stat. Look at this Team Ninja Warrior who I'm up
can
against.
We bring back Team
gang.
Ninja Warrior?
Yeah.
That's the only shot I've got it.
So this is a cool resource. That's all I want to say to people like Ninja Warrior fans. This is
Plus us, baby.
Yeah.
They lost.
No, this is cool. Yeah,
So
I
they
didn't
lost.
even know this existed. I wonder who runs this. Is it NBC or is it just some like fan?
No, I think it's more
I
of a
don't
fan.
know, man, but you can see local gyms. You can see, they've got everything on here. So shout out whoever's making this.
Right.
You guys are doing a great job. I don't know. I'm not linked up with them, but they're killing it. So way to go, you guys.
We got to find out. Yeah, I looked at this a while back.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I didn't even know that they would have all this stuff organized. But for me, like, I don't have as many seasons under my belt, so I can kind of remember.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hazy. I'm like, what season did I start? Was it 10, 11?
When I was going through all my old
remember.
photos, the other day I put up 7 photos from 7 seasons, right? And
Yeah.
my different looks and all whatever. And like trying to remember what season I went off the clothing I wore per episode.
Yeah.
And then I could place myself. But this, I just hopped here and I'm like, oh, I went out on that. I did
How old were
this.
you when you started? What was your age in your first season?
I'm 33, so that I was, gosh, what does that make me? 26? What
Sounds
is that?
about
26?
25.
That's crazy. That's me in 2
26,
years,
25
son.
somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was 28 when I started. You were 25?
Yeah, wild.
Yeah. I was 30 in my first TV episode. Or
Yeah,
feature.
if you look at that
Man.
OG, if you go to my Instagram,
had-
can you pull up my Instagram?
You had the baby face.
Look at this photo from, well, I guess you can't see it super
Grant had
well.
that
Well, just click on
baby
that.
face.
Just go ahead and
Do
click
what?
on season 7 and you'll see me like one of the videos.
Oh, yeah, no.
Let's go to like, is any that have the videos or pictures?
I saw the post. I don't want to pull up too much stuff. It's a podcast.
What? Look at this, bro. It shows the order. It shows how many people went out on what?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
That is pretty cool.
79% of people went out in the Hourglass draft that year. Guess who
That's
did
the
it?
trampoline thing?
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, that was my like
that-
breakout
was that the
season
drum roll
because I was
pause?
able to jump on a trampoline. So shout out to all the parents who want to buy their kids a trampoline. You never know what's going
Right.
to pay off on TV.
Man, yeah, trampolines get so many people. I remember like in Colorado, I was testing, and Jake at the time, that's the season he went out there. You know, it's crazy. He just like slammed against the wall and then got back. But trampolines are always like such
Yeah.
a hit or miss. You hit that thing wrong, you're done.
People don't understand how wonky that trampoline
You got to
is.
keep
made
the
too.
core tight.
You don't get to test it either. You don't know how
No.
tight them springs are.
Yep.
It's
It
only
might
on the
just-
sides. It's not a circular, like,
Yeah.
it's like,
Yep.
it's got tension on the side, and then the front and back is
It's like a tarp that someone threw out there with some springs on the end.
Yeah.
You never know how it's going to go.
Nah, I've been lucky. Like the trampolines, I've been really good with. The hourglass after the salmon ladder, right?
There's two different ones.
This one was,
There's one that was before.
we did the spin cycle, and then the Hourglass drop was the bacon slide
Yeah.
that you hopped and
Yeah.
let go, bounced, and went back
Yeah,
up.
so that one when we were testing in Colorado, I was testing with Mike Murray, and so I did it. I was the only one to complete. I was the first one to complete out of all the testers. Then Mike goes because nobody was reaching it, got the height. So I was like trying to like show Mike like the technique for it. So he does it too well, and this guy hits a trampoline and goes so high that he just like smokes the top of like the thing. So and then he gets bodied like in the pool. So he just goes like boom, boom. I was just like, oh
Ping pong.
no.
Dude, you're going to have to pull mine up because I've got a good epic fail.
Did you do that
from
as well?
Yeah, I got it in season 9, I think. I just come back from Norway. It was after the salmon.
Oh,
ladder.
I remember that. Yeah,
And
you were like that
that's-
scrungy beard that year.
Yeah, I
You
had,
that
the, I had the full
beard.
on, and I was a little hefty. I was like 195, a little pot belly. I've been eating some good fish over there. And I hit that thing. I did good on the trampoline, but I like slammed the bottom of the baconator or whatever you call that.
Yeah.
And then a nice little backflip somersault off of it. That was my first YouTube video that made it on the Ninja Warrior channel. I was like, cool.
So speaking of Ninja and all this stuff, going into I guess season 14. This is kind of a question, but I'm gonna word it differently. Because we're a little different to where like Ninja isn't like for Daniel, right? That's just like year round. It's what like he wants to do, but like I can't. Like that's just I need to have other things in my life. So what are like your expectations for yourself, your goals for season 14?
I mean, there's an assumption there.
Assuming
That was
that-
I'm going to do season 14. Now, I don't think I won't. It's not that I told myself I'm not going to be resentful. So I guess my first set of goals is to go into Ninja with my heart again,
yeah.
which means I have to set up a structure of pay or job or whatever to where I feel like my heart's in it. Now, I love doing public Ninja events and I love meeting fans and I love them again because over the last year and a half, I've learned to not do too many public speakings, to not be at too many public appearances because then I'm meeting people and I'm like, oh my, like I just
Yeah,
need
you're
to
just burnt out. That makes
and
sense.
so cutting those back, right? Now needing to up other things, which can be brand deals and whatnot. that regains the motive to be on the show. So assuming that's my first and foremost goal, is to come back with my whole heart and go at it with the fun that I had that first season. I had no plans, no, I'm going to beat everything mentality, which I think is a good goal for people. But for me, it does kill a little bit of my joy and my let's get weird and see what happens. Because I've never ran a course like my first season where I was like, whatever happens, happens. Yeah. I'm always like, I got to make it. I need to be smooth. And I see it season after season. And for me, when I get to the city qualifiers, I'll go out because I went too slow getting up to it. I'll make the salmon ladder, but it's the next obstacle that becomes a cutoff. And I did too slow by 1-2 people. Mm-hmm. Why not just hammer it? Why not just try something? Why not get a crazy attempt? Someone's never tried, like Kevin Bull's move, right? Like, something like that. But I'm like, I got to play it smooth. I got to make it to Vegas. Like, I'd rather go out next year off of something ridiculous that I tried with my whole heart back in it for excitement than just, I'm going to go back because I have to do certain well. It's like,
no, you're right. I mean, we're like, a lot of the stuff you're saying is the same stuff I've been thinking and trying to figure out, right? We're in like a very similar headspace when it comes to that. Because for me, I think like we've talked about it before on the podcast, but there's a lot of like, my heart's just not as in it as it once was. And I think the part of it is like the routine of it, the cycle of like every year of like training, going back and be like, oh, I have to make it to Vegas. I have to do these certain things. I think you're right. Like my first season was probably like the funnest season, right? Like, cause it was the first time I did it. I did really well. It was really exciting. But then after that, it kind of becomes a little jaded on you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, this season was the first time for me that I had something at stake as far as I'd gone all in. I'd left the job. I'd left everything else. This mattered because it was going to potentially lead to new opportunities. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, my heart wasn't as in it. It was just like, man, I'm not necessarily over it, but all of us as veterans were like, we gotten worn down, and some of the COVID protocols like changed the way it was fun for us with the crowd and the friends. But I try to get myself excited again, kind of like what Grant's saying. What I'm potentially looking forward to about next year is I'm going to change my expectation from like legit training to do really well in the form of, man, maybe I can make it to stage 3. Maybe I'm in the running to get to stage 4.
But you have this guy's made it to stage 3.
And
a stage 3 vet right here.
That was
your man was dead.
Yeah,
I don't think people know. I don't know
the story.
Has anyone known this?
Did we?
Can I tell a little bit from behind the scenes?
I don't know if we told it.
You can tell it again.
I can tell you at least a little bit.
Some people have seen the episode.
There's no way they saw what I saw.
Right. But when I watched the replays of that, I don't look that bad.
You look great.
I'm telling you, bro.
Dude, it was.
I'm going to tell you, if you're watching this, then you can see in my face, this is serious. Yeah. And if you're just listening, I would do my best to describe it. We go to these tents on the set in Vegas and we're holed there. It's our holding cell before we go run the next stages. We're all moving on to stage 2, but they have to show us the rules on how to do it and whatnot. Nate comes in and I'm like, this man shouldn't even be here. Like, it's wrong of them to force him to be here in this tent because it's not great. You know, it's hot. It's, everything. And his face is pale.
White,
his lips have a pale color, like they're not that red. Then just droopy all around. This like mauve skin tone, like my shirt, but he's wearing it over his whole body. And I'm like, dude. I'm like, this dude's in a bad way. And then they're like, we gotta do rules. And I'm like, I don't know if Nate should move.
Grant stepped up for me.
I was like, I don't know, and they're like, he's got to come to the rules. And I'm like, no, here's the deal. Like, he is not healthy. There's got to be another way you can do this. I don't think he can get up right now. And they're like, we'll see. And da-da-da. And not to hate on the camera crew and people that were working that day, but like they're trying to get their production done. And I'm like, I want my friend to live. I'm like, this dude does not look good. And
I think you like carried me to a golf cart or something.
Dude, it was rugged.
It's like, hey, mucho take it easy, guys. Like, let's slow down for a second.
I was like, y'all need to relax. Like, I get you want to get your job done, but like his health is questionable right now.
Yeah, and for the background on that, I'd spent the last 8 hours before that puking and diarrhea every hour on the hour. I mean, like, hardcore.
What you eat, bro? You go to like a sushi buffet?
No,
in Vegas?
I had the same thing that they gave us on set. Brian Burkhart got he threw up once, but he and I were the only ones that had any reaction.
Oh, you just had the bad way.
I don't know. I mean, I had come back in from Africa the day before. I thought I had malaria. I had a malaria test kit, but I couldn't get any blood out of my thumb because I was so dehydrated. So I was like, maybe I got malaria. That was a whole nother episode. I was trying to get that test.
Did you think, so when you were sick, you thought you had malaria? You straight up were like, oh,
yeah, I had all the symptoms, malaria symptoms, which is fatigue, diarrhea, nausea.
Did you have malaria?
I didn't. At least once I eventually got the test, it came back
Pre-COVID?
negative,
Oh,
right?
Got caught COVID.
Throwing
All
up
I
everything.
know though,
it was rough.
The Lord worked.
Dude, it was
because
a miracle.
It was
what I went
your
through.
boy was straight dead, and then I'm trying to fight off the producers of like, hey, he needs to rest. Like he's not well. If you want him to run it all, you're gonna have to let him rest right now because there's no way. And they're like, he's got to come out and like make him see all the rules, which is important. Don't get me wrong, but it was just he was in a bad place, and then crushes stage 2
Dude, that was
and go to stage
insane.
3.
That was
I did
insane.
not go to stage 3, right? Like so, it's like
It took
I
me 2
felt
tries
great.
to finish that stage.
Yeah,
That's right.
I
You
did
got
not.
the safety
Yeah,
pass.
this guy, I remember, like, I was in the tent. He was on this little air mattress, and like I was like in my headspace, but I like take my headphones off. I look at him, I was like, "You good, bro?" And he's just like not even there. He's like, "Yeah."
What's your
I was like, "Oh no." And I was like, "Hey, bro, rest up, take it easy." And like that was kind of my interaction with him at the time. I was like, "Man, I hope you like pulls out of it okay." And I'm kind of like warming up, and I look over, and Nate's on the starting platform looking healthy as can be. And I'm like,
bro.
I'm like, this guy was just dying
Bro.
2 seconds ago, and then he clears it. And then he goes right back to dying in the tent. And like, I go back in there, and he's just like back to like just limp zombie Nate. And I'm like, this guy, what just happened?
Dude, it was a miracle. Like 'cause exactly as you said before, I tried to stand up and do a pull up for one warm up. I couldn't do it, and my arm was so cramped from being dehydrated. Nikki Thumbs came by and was like digging
Shout out
in it.
Nikki Thumbs.
And I'm walking I'm like zombie to the starting platform going, God, what am I doing here?
I don't even know why you stepped
I mean,
up.
one, I said when I was in my hotel room, I was like, I'm not going to quit here. It's taken me 6 years to get to this point. We've talked about it before, like a lot of perseverance in this journey. Like, I'm not guaranteed to get back here. We've all been trying for years. I'm going to give it a full go. God, I'm trusting that you'll move here. I can feel good even if I stumble off the starting block and it's all over. But right before I started, a few friends came over and prayed over me. And then another guy walks out of nowhere and he's like, hey, I just took this picture of you earlier, and somehow the way that the angle took, it was like this illumination thing around my head, like his halo. And he goes, I just feel like God's got angels' wings for you. Just want to say that. Out of nowhere, he just says that. I'm like, cool. I stand up on the starting platform and like this wave comes over me. And it's just like, and like life comes back into me immediately. And I and you can watch the video and you would think I look fairly normal.
And
No, you look normal, because I remember looking up and being like, was this guy faking in the tent?
Right?
Like,
Yeah.
what's going on?
And like I was
wild.
exhausted, but I felt mentally clear, and I couldn't believe that I could do a salmon ladder pull up. I really thought I would grab that rope off the first platform and just
splash,
eat it.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's what's gonna happen. Suddenly it just kept going, and suddenly I get to the end.
Wow.
And I hit that buzzer, with a second left, and like a shock of, man, that was my goal 7 years before when I saw Ninja. I was like, to beat stage 2. I think I saw Joe Morosky do it like season 5.
Yeah.
It's like, to beat stage 2, wow. When I finished that little like shout, I kneeled down. I was like, one thing I like to do is like, okay, I'm as a believer in Jesus Christ, like I believe, I got this king shirt on, like he's the king of my life. And so I kneel before a king. And so I was like kneeling, thank you, God. I feel like you helped me there. I cannot take credit for that. Like, I mean, greater guys. I mean, you were stronger than me that year, and like other things have taken us out. I do
crazy.
that, and all of a sudden, and on stage 2, you're up on this platform. So I don't know, 10 feet up. I then lay down and I crashed, and it was all gone immediately. And it wasn't even an adrenaline surge.
Yeah, I'm going to take that back.
I was done. And they start saying, attention, Nate, please come down for the interview. And I couldn't move. I'm laying on my back, and I couldn't get up. And they came up eventually because they saw I wasn't going to come down.
carried you out
and
of the stretcher.
they like hauled me down. I don't remember if they had a little
Get a broom.
forklift. They did something. They picked me up and carried me down. And then boom, I'm back on the mat in the tent. Just
That was crazy.
zombie again. And then 2 hours later, it's like stage 3, and that didn't turn out well. But
That's wild, bro. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
Yeah.
what was the point of that? Where did we get on?
No, I mean, that's just the story, bro.
We just want to
Story
tell
time
people
with
about
Nate.
that.
It was crazy. But that was a miracle and a half.
It's a flu game type of feeling.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was. So what we diagnosed it as is food poisoning, but I was
I'm gonna
mad
go ahead and
dehydrated.
diagnose it as a miracle because I done seen the change in the Lord's good work.
The Lord.
Yeah. No, that was, you have like so much stuff like that happen to you. Like this guy's got, like broke his neck and then like still competed on the,
Exatlon.
Exactly. On
Yeah.
deal.
You always just
Broke
do
my
crazy
ankle.
stuff.
I guess I want to throw out some praises and hopefully some encouragement to people listening. And first to the people listening, that if you are working hard towards something and it hasn't happened yet, don't lose hope. Don't lose hope, because I've seen time and time again people who are consistently working after something not get it.
Yeah.
And I've been confused.
Yeah.
Now, example would be Daniel Gill, where his skill level is there. It's far beyond where it should be to compete. And he has just not been called American Ninja Warrior yet by making the rope climb. And I don't know why not, because I've seen him train. I've seen his skill. It's consistent. His character is consistent. Right. I'm like, if I was the Lord, I would bless him too. Like, I'm like, this needs to happen, right?
He's the guy you want to win.
And it hasn't.
Yeah.
For just as many seasons, it hasn't happened to me. It hasn't happened for him. Yeah. And then this season, he gets COVID right out of all the times. Yeah. Right?
Which is crazy too, because like
so crazy.
He when I caught it, that was like right before the freeze, and we were in the same room because I think we caught it from you, right? When we did the podcast, like the first episode with him, he was there.
Did not get it.
He didn't get it. So I was like, this guy's just immune, bro. He can't catch it. Because when I was like sick, like he like hung out with me a few times and he was immune, right? And then gets slapped in the face.
The timing.
Like, yeah. Man.
So the point being, like, you never know the timing of when it's going to pay off. Right now, I'm not saying Daniel Gill's like perfect everything, but like he seems to be ready for whatever. If there's a competition that comes up or the next year he's going to roll around, he's at a place where he can achieve. So if you're striving and it's just not there yet, stay consistent. Yeah. And you never know whether that's an athletic goal or whether that's a financial goal or that's whatever you're working at, because I see that in Nate. Nate goes out to do Exacthlon, and while he's there, the whole time he stayed consistent. Now, with Nate, I can't see his physical consistency like I see with Daniel, where I'm training with Daniel. But I've lived with Nate for a year plus now.
Dude, it's been like 2.5 years.
It's been more than that, bro.
Gosh, I always say a year.
Right. You've been in Houston for a minute.
Right. Yeah, so it's 2.5 years.
It feels like we travel a lot, so
whatever it is.
It's only been 1 year total of time, but
the thing about Nate is I've seen his character be the same over time.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
And when you see that, which isn't common in our world anymore, I expect Nate to achieve. Yeah. And then, now this is me putting my own feelings in the Lord's. Now we're getting a little bit of faith here, but like if I was the Lord, I'd bless Nate, right? Like that's what I'm thinking.
I love it when Grant's feelings come through.
I'm like, if it was me, I would bless him, right? But if that doesn't happen, I question it. And with Daniel, I'm questioning it. Then Nate goes on to this Exacthlon. Yeah. He quits his job. He's leaning out. He works and he stays consistent from what he's telling me stories when we get a call and saying like, hey, I'm getting a journal. I'm getting to spend time alone with the Lord, even though I'm here. Hey, there's these temptations coming up, but I'm fighting them and blah, blah. I'm like, your character is staying the same. That's all I'm hearing I'm evaluating. Yeah. Your character is still the same. And then to have injury, but miraculous healing, another injury, miraculous healing. Next thing I know, I won a car. Wait, I won another event. Wait, I won the entire show.
Yeah.
Part of me was not shocked because I was like, yeah, your character has been this way. And if I was the Lord, I would, right? So apart from faith, the consistency in your character, the consistency in Daniel's athletic character and his character.
In his life, yeah.
Those are things that I've also seen not pay off for a while. In like Daniel's case, it has in little ways. Yeah. And then yours for a long time and not in little ways. And then now to have a big win. So be consistent, whether it's your training or your character, because you never know how it's going to pay off for one thing. And it could be the thing that's right around the corner that you're ready for because you stay consistent.
Yeah. I want to add to that. I appreciate that, Grant. That's a good perspective, especially for those listening. That's huge. I have lived that in a lot of ways. I received that honor. Thank you. And I would say that there have also been seasons where I was doing everything I'm supposed to do and nothing's working out. And this kid, Daniel, out of nowhere comes in. It's my second season. We're both in the walk-on line. He gets plucked in. Boom, he goes and crushes the course, and he takes off from day one. And the only thing I got from that year was like me not even on his sideline, on the audience sideline, cheering him on. And then the next year, he's the one that bumps me out from going to Vegas. And the next year, he's the one that bumps me out. And I don't say that to resent Daniel. I love and support
Screw
Daniel.
you, Daniel Gill. Right? That's what we're getting at.
If I'd broken your leg, then I wouldn't have had, then I would have made it to Vegas. But I say that to remind myself and others just what Grant did. Grant was a support for me in a hard time in the show that I was on. Like, and if I think about it too much, I get emotional. I try not to.
We're not gonna do that.
But Grant's always crying. So
Just tearing up, bro.
A little
Tearing up,
bro. It's getting hot in here.
I
My eyes are
remember-
getting hot in here.
He's sweating from his
Sweating, bro.
eyebrows.
I thought I got it all out this morning when I was sweating at CrossFit. But I was thinking about, don't get me distracted. I'll lose what I'm
Zoom
talking
in on
about.
the rock.
It's just the
But
water.
I remember being the encouragement for others and wanting them to see their win, even though they had what I wanted.
Yeah.
Right? I wanted, not in a bad way, but I wanted success. I wanted the output of what Daniel had gotten, what Grant had gotten, what others kid. And I say that in a way of, but my main focus was how am I still going to be the support to love them, to encourage them the best way I can and cheer them on, even though they're getting their wins and I'm not even getting picked to be on the show, or much less I got picked, but I'm not even getting shown. And in that time on Exatlon, when I was there alone, I was struggling. It was a hard challenge. It was a very mental battle as well as a lot of physical consistency. And I got a chance. I forgot what happened, but I got to call home. I think it was when I had an injury and they said, you can call someone. And I got to talk to Grant and a few of the roomies. And like Grant, as he just shared, like he was able to, he just heard some of the things I was saying, but he gave me a lot of encouragement. Bro, you're stoked to be there. You're doing the right thing. We're proud of you. We're cheering you on. Like it's worth it. And it gave me the encouragement I needed. Now Grant's back at home and I don't know if we were in shut down in quarantine. He's not getting to do the things he wanted to do. And he didn't accomplish his goal for Ninja Warrior in Vegas the year before. And he was still a support and cheering me on. And so I appreciate that because that's something that I honor and value is when you see someone else winning in the way that you deserve to as well. We've seen Daniel. He deserves this. You guys have put in the work. You got the character and the discipline. And so as Grant shared the message to y'all listening about like not giving up, I think about it in a way that, I mean, I've shared my faith from time to time. If you don't share the same faith or belief, that's fine, but humor me in the way that I see things. You know, if there's things circulating around us, let's just look at the airport example. You know, Houston's got a big airport. When a lot of planes are coming in, you got your airport tower management system, and they're like, all right, you're going to land next, Grant. You're coming in right here. I need you to land. Kid, your plane's taking off in 15 minutes, be on deck. There's a lot of moving parts, but there's times when delays happen because of weather, clouds coming through. There's another jet that's on the runway, and the tower control has to make a decision to say, hey, Grant, I know you were supposed to land in 10 minutes, but I need you to wait. Go make 2 more circles and buy us 30 minutes until it's the right time for you to land. Kid, you were going to take off next, but I need you to make a holding pattern on the runway before you take off. And so I can see ways where we're being consistent. We're doing the things we need to do. And I'm going to land this plane with a point. But we're being consistent in the things we need to do. And it's like, it was supposed to be my time. I was supposed to land here. I was supposed to take off now. And it didn't happen. And God's saying, I've got other things at work right now that have to align because I have a bigger plan going on. And you're going to fit into it. Trust me. But if you give up, if you're like, screw this, I'm not going to be a pilot. I'm parking the plane back at the gate and I'm done. You might have missed the window when God had for you to take off. And so I can see over 6 years of intentional consistency, it was just like, why did that happen? Why did this not work out? Why did I get blocked? Why did Daniel get COVID the year before? I mean, the moment before he could have gone on to win the show, trusting Romans 8:28 to scripture, it says, God will work all things together for the good of those who love him and are called according to his purpose. And I've seen that finally come through athletically and success-wise on my 8th year of athletics in that season of Exatlon. And it all came together. But if I'd given up in season 5, year 5, going, man, it's just not working, then I wouldn't have had the blessing of it. So that's a reminder, like, keep going forward, because Grant said a good point on this.
I think it's just not our society right now. Everything's becoming more instant and do whatever you want. There's no reason to wait and get it what you want to get. Everything from a good perspective of that, which is get up and grind and work hard, to the bad aspect of that is like, don't wait for whatever it is. Get what you want now in the form of how you want it now. And that is to look over that some things, and I think greatness being the some things, take time. I think that the greatness of me getting famous in a year wasn't great. It happened fast and it was powerful, but I don't think it's great. I think it was just rapid spark that could have burned right out. And that if there's something that really comes over time, it's going to be something over time. It's not going to be that I just did 1 year and it was cool. And you're doing Exatlon didn't come from just the one thing. It was years that led up to your athletic ability and growth that created a win that year. So for the viewers that think things happen easily or that it wasn't a big deal, in a culture that tells you get what you need and it's quick and then get the likes and the views and everything can go viral and your life's pretty much a viral thing because all it takes is one easy video and you're famous, and like those things either spark and go out or they have longevity because they've had work put in before it. So to get that longer burning thing, cut up some firewood, right? Be stacking up your athletic ability, your skills, your talents. That's your logs, your storage for a fire that can burn longer versus just like in case that spark hits for whatever reason in your society, you can keep your fire burning by training, working, having knowledge, whatever it may be.
Yeah, good. That's a good point. I think for me, I was like when I like got that spark right, when I got like that fame at first, it was really exciting. It was fun. But for me, I've kind of like wrestled with it to where like I felt like I had to do certain things. Like I had to like not be myself anymore. And I had to like be like this role model that at the time I was really young, right? I was like 18, 19.
Which is tough.
I didn't want to be like a role model for the, and that's like also like I'm thinking about like these kids now that are getting that show. They're like 15.
Yeah.
Could you imagine the pressure on that kid? Like, depending on where his mindset's at, right? Because if he doesn't care, then he'll be okay. But for me, like I thought I had to change the entire person that I was because I was like, oh, I'm not good enough to be a role model. So that was a lot of pressure. But I also like felt like I had to do certain things because I felt like to be grateful for the opportunity I'd been given, I had to utilize it, right? I had to post content. I had to interact with fans. I had to do like appearances and do all this stuff. And for the first years, like I was really unhealthy because I like thought I had to do all these things. Then I realized like I don't really owe anybody anything, right? Like if I don't want to like go down this road and act on this spark, then it's fine for me to, put my energy towards school. I was in college at the time and I was kind of balancing both of those of like, oh, like could I just drop out of college and do this full time? And I'm happy I didn't. I'm happy like that I decided to kind of back off of like the Instagram stuff and just the being like Instagram famous or even just like a little famous. And I think about this a lot. We're like on the if you have like an A-list of celebrities, right? Like A through Z. We're like at like underneath after Z, there's like a number system.
Right.
We're like at a 7, right?
Yeah.
We're not even on the A through Z.
Yeah.
But that's such a blessing. It would suck to be like A-list celebrity.
I run that all the time.
It'd be the worst, bro.
Think
Could
of
you
being like
imagine?
Justin Bieber, right? Or
Yeah.
something.
But most people can't imagine. But when you've tasted some of it, like we
Yeah,
have, when
yeah.
you show up at a certain event and everyone wants to talk to you and everyone wants the autograph, and then the day 4 in a row, you're like, I just want to go sit over here and drink my Gatorade and just be chill. People haven't tasted it, so then they can't quite believe it. They're like, no, you're so lucky. But when you've tasted a little bit of it, trust us.
Yeah.
It's exhausting in this capacity.
Sometimes it's like great. Sometimes it brings you great opportunities and it's a blessing.
For sure.
But when you can't just like go to the park and do certain things, which like we can obviously,
Yeah.
but imagine if you were like Johnny Depp or like somebody huge like that. You're trying to go to the park and do something and you're just like getting mobbed. It's like, all right, well, I guess I'm just going to live like on some island where nobody else is.
Yeah, we'll do another episode sometime and I'll just talk stories.
Yeah.
And I can tell you some wild fan interaction stories. Because I've had some
Here's a little one right now.
ones.
You can't just tease that.
Dude, I got one
Yeah,
for you.
I mean-
I got one for you right now. We weren't together, but it was when Grant was in Houston and
Oh, is
Grant.
this the stalker chick? Is this
No. Oh, that's a
not
good
gonna tell
story. We're not
those.
going to talk about that
We're
story.
not going to talk about people.
All right, we're not going to talk about that.
Maybe
But
listening.
Grant's got a RAV4 here. It's an older RAV4. Like he on purpose like didn't spend a lot of money to get a quick commuter vehicle
Bought in
here.
cash, paid in full.
Hey, shout out to that.
Shout out to Jave Ramsey.
Delayed gratification. Exactly. You don't put it on credit. So he bought it. He's been cruising around in it. It's
not that great.
He
It's
decked it out a little
called-
bit. I mean, it made it look good, but it's not
tinted
baller
windows.
status.
Can't
so he
polish a
shows
turd.
up. Grant shows up at the grocery store. It was like Kroger or something. He pops out and this dude walks up to him and is just like staring at him. He's like, what did he say? Like, thought you'd have a
I'm
nicer.
thinking this dude wants to fight me. Like,
Right?
honestly,
Just like-
I'm squaring up. He's a big dude. He's just a little bit taller than me. He's walking towards my car, and I'm like posturing up. I'm like, okay, I got my shoes on. I'm taking my shirt off first. Like 2 rules in fighting: shoes on, shirt off. And I'm like, okay, how quick can I get my shirt off? He's getting close. I'm
He
reading
just
his
starts
vibe,
disrobing
and
right
I'm
there.
like, I'm eyeing him out of the corner of my eye because I'm not trying to be like, let him know I'm trying to bang, but I'm like, dude, if you're trying to, I'm trying to. So he's rolling up and he's, I think Russian, I don't know, but he's got a demeanor that's got a little bit of like resting RB
yeah.
face.
Yeah, Russians aren't very
And so he's rolling up and I'm
engaging
like,
emotionally.
it might be, he's might try and do something.
time.
Trying to do something. And I'm like, okay, shirt on, shoes off, right? And then he gets closer and he's like, I can't do a Russian accent. Hey. And I'm like, yeah, what's
You
up?
guy.
And he's like, you're the guy from. I don't know.
You sound like Borat.
You're the guy. I can't do it. You're the guy.
He's Italian
He's
or
like,
is he
this dude was
Russian?
not happy, right? He was very aggressive, and he's like, "You're the guy from Ninja Warrior," and I'm like, "Yeah."
You're strong
and
like
I'm thinking,
bull.
"Oh, you're just a nice guy, but you just have an interesting demeanor."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh, cool. Yeah, yeah, it is me, man." And I'm open, like I'm happy, and he goes, "Oh, I just thought you would drive a nicer car."
Oh,
Your car, it sucks.
I'm like, this guy.
So then then you took your shirt off, right?
And then I took shirt off, shoes on. You know what I mean? And I'm like, what upbringing did you have to say that? Like, don't say that. Think that if you want. Don't say
Yeah,
that.
that's fair.
And I was like, well, I paid for it in cash. I don't need to justify this guy. And I just went and bought my groceries. And I was actually returning some old lettuce. Like I had it in my bag. I was like, and I go, well, I guess I got to take this lettuce back in now. And like, what? So I've had some weird,
It's funny.
some real weird interactions where I get it. People have said like, a lot of times people are like, oh, you're bigger than I thought. Or they want to take a picture and I've just been competing or something. And they're like, oh, you smell. And I'm like, yeah, because I just got done working out, right? Or, but just it blows my mind things that come through. Now, just as many bad ones, there's been some amazing ones.
Yeah.
And for the ones that are, I went through all my old pictures and videos the other day. I also went through my old fan mail the other day, and I found some of the drawings from kids, talented drawings too. And, shout out to the real young kids who just kind of scribble up something in pineapple, and that's really cute too. But one was like a drawing of my hair and everything in charcoal, and then signed, and it said on there, you are my idol. Just says, you are my idol. What a wild thought.
Wow.
Yeah.
Someone thinks that. Someone's thinking that. Now, I am not perfect, and I will be the first to admit it. And I thought, I'm somebody's idol. That's heavy. And that gave me not a responsibility I started to wear, but like an excitement for like, it does matter what I choose to do and how I hold myself, and gives me a spark to do well by people. And so that someone can look at me as an idol and not be let down, but be like, man, my idol killed it, So I've had interactions from the amazing fan mail, sweet people, to people that just say weird stuff,
It sucks.
But I could tell stories for days, and people are so funny.
That's good.
People are funny.
That's funny. The old Russian guy.
Shout out if he even is Russian. I don't know.
I want to talk a little bit about, you guys are both like heavy into ice baths, huh? Well, at least because Nate's like doing the king stuff, and they always take ice baths, and you're like sponsored by Barrel Company.
Yeah, I'm trying to get in yours after this, bro.
I
People
turned
don't
it
even
down
know.
for you. I turned it down
Do
for
you,
you.
can they go on your Instagram and like see? Do you show them that?
I could put it on the Patreon. Oh,
Dude, put it on the Patreon. If you guys
I
get
haven't
on the
seen the
Patreon,
setup yet. But
I'll go put this camera on and they'll see me get in it.
right?
Yeah, you guys want to see Grant get in the old ice bath? We'll post the video.
I'll
on
tell you
Patreon.
exactly how, because his setup is like, I've done a lot of different ice baths. I've done straight up ice swims, not ice bath, but like I'm in Alaska or whatever country.
Yeah, nature ice
whatever,
baths.
So he's got a really unique setup too. If you're looking to have an ice bath, and I'll on the Patreon, I'll talk a little bit as I get in why it's good and what I use it for. But yeah, I'm big into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same. I got into it pretty hard when I was going to move to Norway, and I heard about Wim Hof, who's called the Iceman.
Were you doing it in Norway? Like,
Yeah.
just getting in the
and
ocean?
I was doing it in my shower. In Norway, all the water comes from
glaciers, so it's
glaciers,
cold.
both glaciers and like snow melt. And so I was in a little mountain town. So it could get down, I did a temp gauge, it would get down to like 35, 36. And so that was a good.
It's comedy to me
In the
when like
morning.
I'll talk to people like Houston buddies that like I train with this stuff, and they're
yeah.
like, yeah, I take cold showers. I'm like, no, you don't. You take lukewarm showers.
Right.
Ain't no
It's
cold
Like
water.
65 degrees.
Yeah.
You might as well be in the ocean.
Yeah.
Not the Pacific,
Cold,
but
cold.
in
At
the
least in
Gulf.
the summer, it gets
Yeah.
a little crispy in the winter, but it's
Yeah.
nothing like getting in the old chest
Yeah.
freezer.
Your body starts adapting to it, but at first it's a shock. So I was training because I had a goal that I was going to go hike in the mountains for New Year's Day, go break through a river that had frozen over and dip into it. And so I did that New Year's Day, like 2018, and I got a few Norwegian friends to join me. Actually, dude, the Norwegian guys, we think about them as Vikings, but they're kind of long past that era.
Oh, they all.
Like they were like, I don't know if I want to
a little
go in there.
cold.
It's a little cold. Two of the women joined me. Like, yeah, we'll do
Yeah.
it. So they hopped in with me. The other two guys filmed.
Yeah.
We were just like backwoods
Shout out
out
to
of
the women
nowhere.
in Norway.
But that was my first goal. And then I also knew about the benefits of it. Like Grant can talk about some of that if y'all do it. But there's a lot of value. And now the guys that I'm associated with, and it's called the King's Council, they do an event every month that I'm a part of called Upgrade Your Human. So we do some breathing exercises, like Wim Hof is the Iceman, and he kind of modernized the value of taking ice baths, but also breathing and connecting your mind, body, and spirit. So doing that, doing a physical challenge, and then we finish up with ice baths, and that's some of what I've done in a few events I've had in Houston.
No, yeah,
I've bringing
been
people
enjoying
through
it.
that.
I sleep better afterwards. It's nice because like when you get inside the ice bath and like afterwards, like the hardest part is like one, getting in is not that bad. You just have to do it. But I think it's like warming up afterwards is kind of like annoying. But other than that,
here's the newest thing. Now I could tell you just a billion different benefits, and I could tell you even just a really simple thing of like spice up your life, dude.
Yeah. Right.
If nothing else, like stir up your life in a good way, because people aren't doing cool stuff and they go to drugs or something crazy because they're just like, my life's boring. Spicy food, ice baths, like there's just a fun way to do spice up your life. The big thing that recently I've done and some podcast studies in the science behind dopamine, your body's constantly releasing dopamine, and when it has this influx of dopamine, it has a negative balancing out, and you have this homeostasis you're always trying to hold. Now, when we have so people, let's say, take drugs, they have this huge dopamine release, and then it has to equate.
Crash,
But if they keep doing it, it raises their homeostasis to a level of like, now a high level of dopamine is the normal. And so then it feels so low when it's not high. It feels like, oh my gosh, everything's bad, right? What I came to realize is working out, and now I just realized today that ice baths do the same thing. They give you a negative experience. When I'm working out, I posted 2 days ago photos of me just like head down hurting in a workout.
Yeah.
You're hurting, you're not feeling great, your muscles you're looking for air. That negative experience does two things. One, it gives you a positive change in your physical body because later on it recuperates and gives you, so you're getting a positive physical effect. But also you get the positive dopamine effect later from your negative experience. Same idea. You get in the ice water. It's not a great feeling. Right away, you're not like, yay, you're
it's not
bummed.
a hot tub, yeah.
But that negative dopamine equates to a positive dopamine later, and you're getting the positive benefits if you get into why ice bath, what it does for your sleep, for your recover of muscles, and
good for like your
all
immune
that
system too,
Hormone
and all that
release,
stuff.
yeah.
So do these certain things like working out in ice baths, or two of them, that cause a negative experience that ultimately create a positive outcome.
I agree with you to a certain degree, but for me, I've been down that road to where working out like sucked, and every time I did it, it sucked. And a great example can be running. So I used to run with the guy who was a really good runner, and he would push do the loop at Memorial Park like twice, which is what, like
6 miles.
yeah, something like that. But he was pushing like a 6:30 pace and like really. So I was hurting, and every time I'd run, it'd feel like I would start, and it would slowly just like I'd tread towards feeling like death, and it was awful. And then the recovery time, and so I hated running. And then like two years ago, my trainer James put me on just recovery runs, just nice like chill 8:30, 9:30 pace, like 3-4 miles, you just relax. I started doing those, and I was like, oh, running is nice. Like if I don't, every time I do it, it feels like death. I'm not going to do it. That's just like human nature to be like, oh, this sucks. Like the stove is hot. Don't touch it. That's like, good. Don't go do this.
Yeah.
So I think it's okay for a time. Like you need to feel that intensity and like the pain once in a while to do like an intense workout. But I can't like.
You need
there's no way
win.
I'm doing that every time. It has to be enjoyable.
Yeah.
If it's not enjoyable, it's not consistent. Like I can't be consistent with it if it's just pain every time, right?
Which is why I try to drag you to Ultimate Frisbee, because I hate running.
No, but I just get stupid injured in Ultimate Frisbee.
It's weird every time.
I like destroy my ankle, like trash my thumbs. It's a bad time every time.
I try to find a fun way to do the quote unquote exercise that distracts me.
But you're right. No, that's the right mindset of like, instead of like doing like wind sprints up a hill, you just play Ultimate Frisbee, and at the end of the day, like you get the same cardiovascular benefit. Then I'd want to play Ultimate Frisbee like 9 times out of 10. Like why not? But yeah,
it's a trade-off. Like there's times you have to just grind through something, and I believe in a daily dose of discomfort, and that's a little bit of what Grant's describing. But then there's the euphoric effect that comes after, because you've accomplished something, you've changed something physiologically in your body. And then there's the elements of like, you don't always have to grind on everything. You know, relationships, friendships, sometimes it's not always super fun and easy, but if it doesn't have a lot of those elements of like fun and being easy, you're not going to want to keep doing it. So you have to go through some of the hard work, but then you get to enjoy it. Like when we've all had some wins on Ninja, man, the next year we came back like, yeah, I'm ready to grind, I'm ready to crush, I'm ready to go, because it made the hard work worth it. So finding where you're starting to burn out and then plugging in like, okay, let's make something fun. Like if I do an ice bath on my own, it's not fun. If I do an ice bath with my friends, I'm kind of like,
It's kind of weird because I like ice bathing by myself because I've done it a few times with Daniel. It's like I'm able to like meditate more and be like more like
That's
in my
because you're
zone
in there
alone.
with him, dude. And that's just weird. You guys
that's
are in
why he
there.
hasn't put it on film.
You guys
yet,
are freaking.
We might just get in there together in a few minutes. So
Dude, I'm no Daniel Gill,
Get me
so
outta
get
here,
ready because you're
right?
catching a whole lot of knees and elbows. But yeah, the point. I think they're two separate points, but I think yes, there's a really good reminder that you can't always be grinding. You will just find a reason not to. But that in the negative experience of a workout or the discomfort in a ice bath, you're creating a positive effect versus creating a positive effect from a drug, let's say, where you experience that dopamine release, but then has a negative effect later, which is the come down crash, and it actually hurts your body because your body's like processing that toxicity. That's a negative outcome and a negative dopamine afterwards. So you're double down on the negative where this is going in with a negative causing two positives.
yeah,
And
it goes
two
with that
positives
saying
make a
of, like,
positive.
Like the only reason that like being happy feels so great is like because when you're down it sucks. If you're happy all the time, it would just feel like your baseline and you'd just be neutral.
You got no
Because
context.
the lows are low, like the highs are highs, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty much what we're
That's
going
good.
over.
It's like delayed gratification. It's what you're preaching. You know,
I was thinking the other day, actually, it kind of ties in with this, but not too much. But you know how like recently, like with all the current events, like people think, oh man, it's like end times, the world is ending. But I've been like kind of like into history recently, just like reading up on old stuff. And this like basic things like World War I to like Cold War era. But I was like, yo, like we're actually in a great time right now. Like the world's, it's not at peace. Like there's wars here and there, but it's nowhere near what they were at during that era. Like, I mean, like Cuban Missile Crisis, people thought like the world was going to end, right?
Dude, it almost did.
Yeah.
Almost, wiped America off the face of the map and
And
Russia.
maybe I've gotten a little too much into this saying that hard times make hard men. Have you guys heard this quote?
No, but
It's like 4 parts.
Yeah, hard times. I hope I get this right. Hard times make hard men. Hard men make
Good time.
good times.
think
Good
so.
times make easy men. Easy men make hard times.
Yeah.
yeah, so it's like a cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that this fact that like, I have had to check in on myself because I've experienced a lot of loss in my family and life and hurt and pain. And in that time, I didn't struggle with a lot of things other than grief.
Yeah.
It was like mostly about grief. And then everything else was like, well, I'll try to train and work out. Now I'm stoked to have a good life and I'm training, I'm reaching new goals, but there's a new struggle of stuff that like, I'm like, oh, I don't like that I'm struggling with that in my character. Oh, I don't like that. I think that that's an option now. Or it's these fringe things that can only come from a good situation. An overly good situation can cause a struggle that like, I don't know how this is probably a horrible way to relate it, but I'm trying to think of a metaphor. But what if it was like a wealthy family raises a wealthy kid, they struggle with like wealthy issues, like expensive drugs they deal with because they come from a privilege versus like, it's not to say we should never have privilege, but it's to say that sometimes in privilege we can have a new struggle.
You just like unlock different problems, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
Or life-
like I don't need to worry about eating, but now I'm gonna like worry about this. And
Life can be too cushy, and without some resistance, you don't build strength. You don't build perseverance. I have a friend of mine. He's like 22. His name's Riley. I'm going to see him tonight when I go to San Diego, and he's skydiving with us tomorrow. He comes from a very wealthy family. His dad's very successful. He's got a beautiful house in San Diego, like overlooking the ocean. And one thing I'm impressed with this guy by, because of his youth, like you would think he doesn't have a lot of life experience or wisdom. And because of his background of having everything handed to him, which is his words, you would think that he wouldn't accomplish or achieve very much. Cause he's like, Nate, one thing he's noticed is he's got know me. It's like, Nate, you've accomplished a lot of cool things and you've made an impact on the world, but it's mostly because you've had a lot of adversity. Like life growing up for you wasn't easy, and you've come through a lot of hardship, and you've had to make it on your own, and you didn't have family help, and et cetera, et cetera. He's like, I asked him, I said, I've seen you do some amazing things for your age. How have you found some version of success? And I would say success, like you've accomplished things, you've disciplined yourself, you've taken yourself to newer heights, especially from your surroundings where most of your peers are just like checked out, and they're having, wealthy drug problems, and they're having these other issues. One thing he said is he had to remember he needed to manufacture his own adversity, because we've been given adversity in our lives by things that happen, and people who have had to grind and break through a hardship in their life, they develop some strength and some perseverance and some character, and they can handle more. Just like you as a CrossFit athlete, you become extremely strong. But if everything's handed to you, you can become apathetic. And so we've had good times in America after World War II, well, outside of the Cuban Missile Crisis. And it has created, I think, a little bit of a state of people don't realize what true issues are. We got our hashtag first world problems, and we've traveled the world enough to see like there's still some terrible things that go on in this world, and a lot of human trafficking and people that barely have something to eat every day. And here we are in an incredible
I've never gotten,
time.
I mean, like, other than like my grandparents and stuff, I've never gotten to like talk to like somebody who like went through that era. Like, you guys are a little older than me, so maybe you have some people in life you've gotten to talk to. Have you like been able to talk to somebody?
My great grandfather was served in World War II.
Yeah.
my
Which is wild.
Yeah.
And I knew him. My great grandmother outlived my mom and my grandmother. So keep that in mind.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So like I knew my great grandmother for a long, long time. But when I was younger and I was talking to my great grandfather, I got to get on the plane that he served on. He told me stories about when he was flying for 9 hours and fell asleep flying it. When they had like
He was like solo pilot.
I think he had another pilot with him.
So wake up, bro.
But so someone sleeps like in the fuselage. There's a tube back there. It's padded tube, and someone goes and sleeps. The other one flies. He says he fell asleep flying. And it's before they had automated systems.
Yeah.
He just fell asleep and then like woke up and flying this thing.
Just
And I'm like, and he was a bomber pilot.
Yeah.
So like, you know, I mean, it's super dangerous, not just because when you blow up, at least you're going to blow up big because you're going to blow the bombs up too. But like,
if it goes down, you're blowing up either way.
you're definitely not going to make it.
Yeah.
But to hear those stories, and the coolest part was after he passed, years later, with my my uncle, we were going through all our photos, and then I saw a photo at war where he's at a base camp, and they're showering together with all the guys. You know, it's like, this is OG wartime, right?
Yeah.
But they're all naked in this thing, and he's naked looking over his shoulder laughing. Someone has taken this photo, and it brought humanity back to this very what feels like not humane time. And here he is smiling, and I'm like, wow, he was in it. He was at war. He's overseas.
Yeah.
But not like it's just this idea of super hard man he was, because yes, he was. But there's also those tender moments of life inside of that environment.
There has to be, man. There's no way it's like sustainable if there isn't.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, everybody's just gonna break down, and there's no way they go through that.
Yeah.
Like, the amount of time that they were at war is like, you have to find like some light in the
Simple
darkness.
joys in the moments.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think it's human nature to do that as well, to be able to make light of any situation. Because the more serious you take it, the more weight that puts on you. You're like, oh, like if you start really thinking about it, like, oh, we're at war, like I might die tomorrow, this and that. Like, there's no, like, you're not gonna ever sleep, right? So if you make light of the situation and do the best you can, I think that's the only way to do it. But and it hasn't even been that long. Like, we've come so far, and I feel like a lot, because I like, obviously they teach it in schools, but like the impact, I think, is gonna get lost throughout. Like, the more we get away from it, people are just gonna forget what that was actually like. Because like, I don't even know what that was like. I didn't live through that. But the stories just get watered down through generations, and it's like, oh, like now the worst thing ever is just like political issues or like COVID and stuff like that. It's like, no, there used to be like a genocide happening, and like every nation was at war. Like, it was real.
Tens of millions of people dying. Yeah,
well, I mean, they're doing some to that effect. I mean, because we grew up in a time where 9/11 happened, and it was a reminder of that kind of seriousness. And if you watch Turning Point, the documentary on Netflix, it gives you a little bit more of that history and whatnot. But like, I don't know where you were at that time, but for me, it was a cognitive thing of like, whoa, this is popping off. This is real. There's real evil in the world. People are just out to kill large sums of people.
Yeah.
And that was like, oh, wait a second. And then it was war started to come up. And then we decided, are we in this war for the right reasons? Who are we at war with? And then you're really talking with some ideas. But yeah, it's nowhere near like every company has shut down and they're all switching to manufacturing war type products.
Yeah.
World War II time.
Yeah.
Great Depression and brought us out of depression because we are all on board for one goal. We're manufacturing things for the war. And it's like, there's no opportunity to go, I don't think I like my Instagram post today. It's like, you got to go and get it. You know,
like you saying that made me think, like, as shitty as like the situation was, I think like something like that, like things that are happening now, I feel like are dividing the nation, but that back in the day, like, united everybody for like one goal. Right. And sometimes I don't want to say that it has to take something like that to like bring everybody together and be like, oh, maybe these issues that were like life or death separating like, you know, families because of disagreements, like maybe these issues aren't that big of a deal. And it takes something like that to be like, oh, there's worse things out there. Like family is more important than these small, like.
Yeah.
I want to agree with you and say I hope that it's not the case, that it takes some kind of adversity to unite us.
Like I don't want it to, but I'm just saying it can.
It can, and it kind of is a fact of history, at least, that it unites us. And when times get too good, the Roman Empire, it fell because things got a little too good, and people generations past where they forgot the struggle that happened. And you know, Grant's sharing about his great grandfather, and my grandfather, he passed away about 4 months ago, almost made it to 100 years old, and he was also a bomber pilot.
Dang.
And one of the interesting things about growing up after he got shot down and had some crazy PTSD experiences, he was an eclectic old guy and he hoarded everything. Yeah. And so we go to his house once a year, and he would have old rolls of carpet out in the garage, and he would have 15,000 old bottles, like wine bottles and other things he'd been keeping his whole life, because he's like, you never know if we're going to need that. Need what, Grandpa? Well, we might need that bottle because you might have to put something in there, and there's times when they just don't make those anymore. And it just, he still got the property. Our family's like figuring out what we do with it now that he's passed away.
Yeah.
And it's just stuff everywhere on 4 acres. He saved for 50, 60, 70, 80 years because all he knew was the Great Depression.
Yeah.
And we don't understand that. Like we're in this mindset of consumerism. Like we can get the next thing, the new thing again. I mean, we got 3 cameras right here.
We get stuff in like 2 days with Amazon, right? You lose something else, no problem. Just buy it real quick. It'll be here.
And we don't understand what it's like where you can't get something immediately. And I've seen some of that in the remote parts of Africa. Like there's still a mud hut there and they've never seen cell phones or a white person. And like, oh, there's still remote parts of the world that they don't have the convenience that we have.
Yeah.
You know,
there's almost like somewhat of like a beauty in like regressing back and like not having all the things we have today. It just gets like more simple. It just, things can just get too complicated with all like the luxuries we have today. So
have y'all had an example of your life where you've been unplugged or not had some of those simple luxuries that it became a blessing? And I say that I'm teeing it up because I had that experience in Exatlon.
I mean, for me, it's just like when like there was like certain hurricanes, we didn't have power for like I think it was it Ike or like Katrina maybe?
Ike back in the day.
Like back in the day, like
yeah.
when
Katrina was New Orleans. That was like 2006, but then Ike hit. Like
I think it was Ike. We didn't have power for like
Ike
almost
was
a month.
Houston, and it was
a while.
big.
So that was something to work. But I was really young. I was like a kid at the time. But it was cool because it was like the kids went back to like being out in the street. Like we were just like playing video games inside. We were just like messing around and like doing just kid stuff, right? Like climbing trees. And we don't usually do that. Usually it was like, oh, we're just gonna like play like some COD on PS3 and stuff like that. So that was really cool, but nothing like to where I've been out like in the wild and had to like do some Bear Grylls stuff.
Yeah, that's next level. But have you guys had a time like without your cell phone for a week or 2 or 3?
What's wild to me is like I have to choose to make that time every year where I try to go for a week. I'm going to go not do anything. First, I know I'm putting my phone down, but also like, where can I be in the world where I can have some nature? I can be away from people. And it really puts me in this place. And now I tie into try to get time with the Lord in that and all that comes with that. But it's weird because it feels so like I'm getting behind. Like I'm not doing what I need to do. Like I'm missing out. Like all the thoughts and feelings that can come with like, wait, I'm purposely not doing anything.
Yeah.
I should be doing extra.
Yep.
And I mean, in our society in America is like, oh, you're feeling tired? Get a caffeine drink. Yeah. Okay, you're not doing enough? Well, you got to stay after work.
It's a solution
take it home.
Problem,
it's just do more instead of go, wait a second, maybe I should do less. And find out that maybe all the things I'm trying to do is too much and take some off the plate. And so, having those as a time every year, I try to do that to be purposely shocked by like, oh, wait, I'm deep in the need to have my phone or the need to always be responding or whatever.
Yeah.
Be reset.
We gotta do that soon. Just get like a ranch and just like nobody like takes their phones with them. We just live out there for like a week or 2.
Dude,
we used to do it called finding ourselves. And me and my buddies would go camp for like a 3-day hike in. You can't have anything but your gear and your food. And we would just do it and we'd leave our phones. And that was back in, my freshman year of college.
We should start planning that. Like I have a couple of friends with the ranch options and we should say like, hey, we're going to go 5 days, put our phone in the bucket. You can bring a camera if you want. That's cool, but we're totally detached. Yeah. Maybe like beginning or the end of this year or the beginning of the next year, like a reset, a little bit of a detox.
No, it'd be fun.
Because what I haven't been the best about doing it on my own time, but when I got on Exatlon, after about a week and not having my phone and we had no outside connection, no idea what's going on in the world, like the anxiety of like, I need to know and I'm missing out. Suddenly I felt it just dissipate. And I had a whole new connection that I hadn't experienced in my life since I was a kid, of like being present with other people, making a little fire in the woods and just sitting there and looking at the moon and the stars and not feeling anxious because I'm like, I'm missing on something. I'm behind on this. I haven't felt present like that. And I haven't felt God speak to me before in the way that I got spoken to in those places, because you just make space.
There's no distraction.
It was incredible. I want to sign myself up for that, but it's been 9 months since I left there, 11 months maybe. And I've struggled to make it happen.
Hit the road running, and you're just like, nope, not going back.
And I don't want to relearn the lessons. I think God brings those lessons to our life of like, hey, you're going too fast, slow down, disconnect. You know, hurricane hits you, but if we could do it for ourselves,
do it purposefully, like,
then maybe the other things won't have to do it for us.
You got the meeting at 2, right? You want me to wrap up?
Yep.
All right, guys. So this has been the 3rd video episode. If you guys want to see the video episode, I might post this one. We'll see. This is probably going to be the best one so far. We'll post clips on our Instagram at Kinda Nice Show. If you want to check out the Patreon with other full episodes that are video episodes, go to patreon.com/kinda nice. You can catch these guys at Island Ninjas, Grant McCartney, and I'm not sure what you're at.
No Limits Nate.
No Limits Nate on Instagram. Check them out. And yeah, it's been a good episode. I'm gonna let one of you guys sign us off. Just say peace.
Also, too, in case you guys want to check in on a little more Patreon stuff, we might do a little filming in the ice bath.
So we'll do that right now.
If you don't, but we'll probably go hop in there. I'll talk a little bit about some of the benefits to follow up on some stuff we talked about. And we'll have our shirts off, so pay extra.
Oh,
what? Who said that?
Kinda Nice OnlyFans.
Oh no, but yeah. I hope you guys take away that the success doesn't always come right away, and if it does through a viral video or something, the longevity happens because of time put in, not because of just the random happening. You need your logs stored up ahead of time. So keep grinding what you're working at, but know that it doesn't always happen right away. And I hope our stories encourage you in that, because sometimes I'm still wondering what's going to happen, but yeah.
There's no such thing as overnight success.
Yes, sir.
It's good.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in with us. Peace.
I'm kinda nice with the gear, yeah. Shout out my area code.